Um, I want to talk about Descartes' epistemology for a bit here. And I think it's kind of a cool thing to talk about here. If you read his meditations, you can find some sort of a structure here about what he's trying to do with respect to metaphysics epistemology, about religion and such. Um, I'm taking history of modern philosophy, which is something that's required for the philosophy major, and it's kind of I've had basically the four things we're going to have to study in this course is Descartes, Leibniz, Berkeley, and Hume, and the beginning thing he's having us do is write a paper about about the arguments of the third meditation and discuss how that relates to the whole aim of the meditations. So I guess I've read all of the meditations, but so far, I've had to read them again for this class, and so far I've reread the first three, and I'm kind of just thinking about this stuff here, and I want to think about what this underlying epistemology of Descartes is. What is here, about his idea of knowledge and what it means to be justified in knowing. He doesn't kind of really go into, he doesn't really think about in what I would call the modern or contemporary sense of justification and knowledge and true belief and such. But he has a really, he has a basically is a foundationalist. A foundationalist is contrasted from an infinitist and a coherentist with respect to knowledge, in that he believes in basic beliefs or foundational beliefs. Basic beliefs, basically, when we have the epistemic regress problem in contemporary epistemology, we have this question as, if I have a belief, how is that belief justified? So I have a meta-belief that justifies it. And then what about that meta-belief? I have to have a belief that would justify that. Thus I have a meta-belief. And it goes on and on and on. There are infinitists who would say, that's fine, we can have meta-beliefs and meta-meta-beliefs and meta-meta-meta-beliefs and meta-meta-meta-beliefs and such and such and such. That would go on in regression into infinity. Descartes, on the other hand, would be a foundationalist in that, say that there are beliefs that are basic, that do not require justification and are justify themselves. It is often thought that these foundational beliefs are facts of sense, sense data, or the given. If you read Wilfrid Sellers or Roger Chisholm, it's kind of this kind of thing that you'll get. Descartes doesn't really believe that about the senses, and if Russell, when you read his paper or his part of his book, Problem of the External World, hardens off data, he kind of says that the hardest of the hard data are logic and sense data, general facts of sense and logic, basically. So it's kind of, there's various kind of thoughts about foundationalism. And when you have foundational beliefs that can go horizontal like this, and then you justify non-basic beliefs by those basic ones, and you build the non-basic beliefs on top of the foundational ones, and you build up towards some kind of a, what Bertrand Russell will call a reconstruction, where you would kind of move towards some kind of knowledge. Descartes, his epistemology is characterized by foundational beliefs. In the first meditation, what you will read is he's talking about things that he can possibly doubt. And he says that he can doubt most things. He can doubt that that this book here is independent object. He can doubt that. He can doubt, that beings are extended. He can doubt that certain things outside of him exist. He can doubt that he's awake. He can doubt all these things, and he can basically doubt everything. And everything that he and basically in that first meditation, he talks about, well, I had built everything on my facts of sense, on my senses. He's like, well, that can be possibly deceived. My senses could be possibly deceived by such a evil genius or God, or possibly, it's kind of neat to think about, this kind of when he thinks about God and how God could possibly deceive him, and but then he kind of infers, well, it's probably a evil genius because God in his supremeness could not have possibly done that. But it's kind of go on and on talking about these meditations. If you want a good book on modern philosophy, this one is top notch. It's Modern Philosophy by Roger Ariu. It's basically a anthology of primary sources. It has your basic modern texts, and it has, Descartes, Spinoza, Leibniz, Locke, Berkeley, Hume, Kant, Malebranche, even, as well as people that object to the various modern philosophers. Another thing that is, part of Descartes' epistemology is the idea of fallibilism and infallibilism. Fallibilism and infallibilism are standards of knowledge. If I have a system of knowledge that is foundational or coherent, whichever. If I have some kind of system of knowledge and it's fallible, then it's subject to doubt. It could possibly be doubted. And his aim in the first meditation, when he's trying to build up on foundations, he basically, what he does is he's like, well, since my senses are not trustworthy, I'm going to take all that out, take out the foundation, and everything else falls down, throw all of that out, and figure out, what can I not doubt? What can I be certain of? And he says in the second meditation, is the only thing certain that there's nothing that is certain? Is the only certain thing uncertainty? But then he does come to the conclusion to say that if I can be persuaded of something, then that I'm thinking. If I can persuade myself of something that I'm thinking, and if I can doubt, then I'm thinking, and I'm a thinking thing. Thus, I must be something. Thoughts have to have owners, right? That's kind of a cool thought experiment to kind of do in your head. Is it possible for a thought to have no owner? Is it possible for there to be thoughts with no owners whatsoever? And I would say no. There's a big defect in Descartes' I think, therefore I am argument, which you will find in the logical positivists, which is very, very interesting. You can find that in Rudolf Carnap very, very, very blatantly, which I think Carnap's right. I think the only defect is that he says I exist. That's the only defect he should be saying. He should be inferring that something thinks, something exists. But aside from that, he tries to build his knowledge upon better foundations. He tries to find things that are beyond doubt, that are not possible to be doubted, and build up his knowledge upon those things in order to have an infallible knowledge, infallible system of knowledge. Now, what does an infallible system of knowledge mean? What that means is, if a system of knowledge is infallible, it's not vulnerable, it's not subject to doubt, it cannot be torn down from doubt. it can't be, and it's infallible. It cannot be torn down by some kind of doubt, which is a very high standard of knowledge, to kind of have. And from the first meditation, he says, well, since I've been deceived by my senses, I'm not going to have that as my foundation anymore. Takes that out, and everything else falls over, trashes everything, and begins anew. And it's funny because at the end of the meditations, he hits a reset button, so to speak, and he says, oh well, he kind of just reverts back and becomes fine again with his system of knowledge being fallible. He reverts back into fallibilism. And fallibilism, it means that your system of knowledge and how you come to it could possibly be doubted, and it could come down at any moment. So those are the kind of the two main themes of Descartes' epistemology: foundationalism and infallibilism. Now, there's so much debates on foundationalism and coherentism in contemporary epistemology, and there's even debates. There's lots of debates also on fallibilism. Now, what I guess that's kind of a big question. Can we have an infallible knowledge? And I would say no. I mean, I guess I'm coming from a phenomenological standpoint. I would say that we can have a perfectly infallible knowledge that is coherent. I'm not correspondence theory. I'm not into that with truth, and I'm not so much a foundationalist anymore. I mean, within phenomenology, you can be foundationalist or coherentist, whichever. But I don't know. It's kind of a difficult thing there. But from phenomenology, if you base all of your knowledge on phenomena and the given and what Husserl calls things in themselves and not at all in the Kantian sense, you can have infallible knowledge about your phenomena and about what presents itself to you. Yeah, you can. But so yeah, if you take my views of phenomenology and you put that into this mix, it becomes a little more complicated, I guess.